Back to you next.
All right, cool. So can people hear us okay? If anyone can hear us, please say in the chat box if you can hear us, because we're experiencing some technical difficulties with sound. First it was with the camera, then it was with sound, and we apologize.
Can people hear us okay? Yeah, we can. Okay.
Okay, so I think now we're all set.
So I would say that you'll give a lengthy answer to the question about fundraising.
So we will give.
We'll put it in writing and send that out to you in South Carolina.
We will give more information to you about fundraising and send it out to you. But that's a very good question. But people do all kinds of things to fundraise, put on events and sell stuff, and they fundraise for all kinds of things. So I wonder if there's any other questions that have come in. If not,
no.
Talk about community service.
All right. So, again, I'm Max Barrows, and I am the Outreach Director of Green Mountain Self-Advocates. Thank you so much for those who have joined, and we are sorry for the technical difficulties we've been experiencing. But I think we got things under control now, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that our groups in Vermont do. Again, I want to remind people that we have 23 local groups in Vermont, and one thing that really works to keep groups going is community service. And the reason why I think community service is important is because people see that what we have to offer. People in every group go out to the community, and they do all kinds of things to give back. And so it's a great way, community service is a great way for people to see what we have to offer, and also kind of breaks down the stereotypes that people with disabilities, all they do is take, but that is not true, and that's one way of proving it, that we give as much as we take. And there are many other reasons why community service is good. Why do you think community service is good, Stirling?
Well, I'm going to speak as the president of my local chapter, and I try to encourage my chapter to be in the community, to help the community to know about our group and to do more and give back to the community.
Nice. Have anything to add, David?
Well, with working with the GLBTQ community, we put on a gay pride event every year, and we raise money for that, going to local businesses to see if they will give us something to sell at the Vermont Pride, and at your local areas is also other communities that put on pride events for people that are GLBTQ.
Nice. That got me asking you, how long has your group been around for? The Pride group that you run?
We've been going, started in 2012, and so that we've been doing that for quite a while here in the state of Vermont.
Nice. How's that going?
It's wonderful. It really reaches out to everybody in the state of Vermont that are GLBTQ or GLBTQ friendly.
Nice. It's a great way to include people, isn't it?
Yes, it's wonderful.
Great, and I'm glad that you're doing that. I'm glad you're doing that. So I'm just going to go back to the chat for a second to see if there's any questions that people have about just self-advocacy in general, or what we said, or... So we don't have... Going once, going twice. Don't be shy to type a question. We love questions.
We do.
Any questions? I have some more answers for Ebony.
You know what? Speaking of questions, this could prompt you a little bit. We have actually more answers for the question we got earlier about fundraising. So here's an idea for those who will listen up very well. And Ebony, thanks for, again, your question. Let's see, write a letter. You can write a letter to your family and friends and ask them to support your local group or organization. Groups have done that. Also, you can present to businesses to get them to sponsor your group and tell them about your work and what you do. It's a good way to actually get the word out about self-advocacy too. And then, of course, if there's any local agencies in your area, local agencies that provide services, offer, have them give an annual donation to your group. Offer them to give an annual donation to your group money, and I'm sure that they would love to do that. And I know that that's happened here in Vermont to keep our groups going. So I hope that answers your question. And thanks so much for asking the question about fundraising. That is actually a big thing in our groups. That really is, because sometimes fundraising can go a long way. Is there any other questions in the chat? I'm just checking.
We'll go to the next chat.
If there's no questions in the chat at the moment, I want to go to the next thing. And I would like to just point something out here that, self-advocacy, you may be wondering how I myself and my colleagues sitting next to me got involved. I want to just talk about, Sterling and I, and then, of course, David, feel free to chime in. I was in back in 2005, I was involved, I got involved in my local self-advocacy group, and the way it began was through a group that formed by students that were transitioning from high school into adulthood. And so the way that happened was I myself and other students from my former high school and other high schools in the area got together, and we just realized, hey, why not just talk about things that are on our mind, share our group, share what's on our mind to each other, and we started feeling comfortable just connecting with each other. And we also attended and volunteered presenting at our annual conference that we have, and through that we became our own self-advocacy group. And so that's how I got involved, and let me tell you, it really has made a difference in my life. And also, Sterling, I'm going to ask you to, you can chime in too whenever you feel like it. But I will say that, joining self-advocacy for me, really has, made a big difference in my life. I've met so many good people, and I've learned so much from them, and it really has made me not only a better person, but a better leader, learning from people, and also it helped me discover strengths that I wasn't aware of myself, like public speaking, which is how I got the job today.
There's a comment. There's a comment.
I see that there is a comment in the chat box, and it is, wow. It says, proud of the essential work, Max, and does for embracing diversity. You know what? That's actually my uncle.
That's good.
So thank you, Uncle John, for joining our live chat, and I'm glad that you commented. So isn't it nice to have family join too and see what we're doing live? It's great.
There's another family member on.
And there's another family member
Sterling
on.
Peebles, you may want to read that one. Can you see
And
it?
I think it's for you, Sterling. I don't know if you can see what. Can you see it?
No.
There you go.
I can read it.
Okay, go for it, yeah.
I'm always looking for tips for how to be a better ally to the self-advocacy movement. Do you three have any tips?
Good.
That's a really good question. You want to answer, and then I'll think?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm Sterling again, and I happen to know that this guy. Welcome. One tip I have for you to be an ally is to help other self-advocates and be there for them. And make sure to be a peer mentor. It helps to have someone as your backup. It's always good to have a check-in with a mentor, and I always enjoy the self-advocacy movement. And I got involved with self-advocacy because I wanted to be like my sister. So I decided to speak up for myself. In 2006, I joined Green Mountain Self-Advocates in Vermont. And I'm going to be a better leader, a much better public speaker, and thank you, Scott. You motivated me to join Green Mountain Self-Advocates, and thank you for always being my ally.
I think that people are a lot more accepting for people for who they are. And when I talk about that, I talk about equal rights. And to be a great ally is to be accepting for people who decide what they want to be in life, whether that's straight, GLBTQ, and that's important to me.
Well, that's great. I think both your answers were right on. I would say for me, one method that I would recommend for anybody who is an ally of, the self-advocacy movement is what we call step up, step back. Step up and encourage somebody to really speak up for themselves, and even though it may take some work, have them try to help them overcome anything that is, getting in the way of them speaking up, like being shy, but also to give them the space to and the opportunity to speak up, and that is step back. And so step back and let them kind of take the lead in that. But also be there in case they are stuck and they're shy or timid, because it can be hard to speak up for what you need. But yes, step up and step back. And also too, I would say that understand what the movement is, and also just accept the person for who they are. Just like any other civil rights movement, like whether or not it's GLBTQ or the civil rights movement for people of color and African Americans. Understand the history of all the movements and the importance of allies in those movements too, as you get involved in self-advocacy. And I would also tell you too, just like those who are involved in self-advocacy already and are part of groups, I would say just be behind the curtain, but be there just to make sure that the groups themselves are operating. But do understand that when you're involved in a group, you're not the one in charge. Really encourage people in the group to be in charge, because it's their group, but always be there to support them to take charge. But don't take charge yourself. Encourage them to take charge. Really encourage and push them to take charge of their group. So we have somebody who, and I actually saw this, but I just got reminded. Hello, Margaret from Los Angeles, the City of Angels. Thanks so much for signing in to our Facebook Live. This is great. We're getting people from all over the country. Don't you love this?
I love it.
Yes.
Isn't it great?
I love it.
From coast to coast. From coast to coast. Alrighty, so we have any other questions in the live chat? I just want to make sure that we're not, missing those.
I think there's one from Vicki.
I think there is one from, a good ally of the self-advocacy movement who I've gotten to know in my time on the SAVE board. from Alabama. Thank you, David and Max, for bringing up the issues of partnering with other civil rights groups. Could all of you share your thoughts on how to strengthen the movement through stronger connections with these movements? Ooh, you know what? That's a really good question. This is actually my area here. You know what? It made me think. You know, when we partner with other civil rights groups or organizations, you know, it's great, you know, to partner with organizations within the, you know, the disability field, but here up in Vermont, we have found it even more powerful to connect and collaborate with organizations outside of the disability rights field of human rights. For example, our group, our organization, Green Mountain Self-Advocates, we've partnered with you know, Rising Tide, which is an environmental advocacy organization, Migrant Justice, which advocates for the rights of undocumented immigrants that live in this country, fighting for legal citizenship. And I would say the Vermont Workers Center, which is you know, a group that pretty much stands up for everyone else, but they focus on jobs and how to fight discrimination on the job and unemployment. So those are just examples of organizations that we partner with. And we have found that when we partner with people, organizations outside of the disability rights field, the leadership is tremendous. I mean, we get asked to speak at rallies. You know, sometimes when the legislature's in session, we, you know, get an appointment with our legislator directly. I've been asked to speak at rallies and events and march in, you know, parades and all that. And just the leadership, the advocacy leadership is just tremendous. It's just also too, we've learned that you know, one issue becomes everyone's issue, and it's also a good way to really, you know, fight together as, you know, a group, and also learn strategies from each other on how to really take on a particular issue when it comes to human rights. So, you know, other examples too of who we partner with, Vermont Faith Interaction, you know, a lot of religious groups, stuff like that. And
David,
you know,
talk about,
David, I want to know if you have anything to say about this, because you know, you have a group that is partners with.
Just maybe talk about how your group
You
meets
know.
at Vermont Pride.
Yeah, my group meets every single week at Vermont Pride, and we have meetings every single week because I feel that we have to have meetings once a week because there's people that need the support with being GLBTQ, and just having that support every week, somebody that they can talk to, someone that they can say, hey, I'm not alone in this battle of, because having a disability and being GLBTQ, we face that every single day. And, you know, those are two big, huge whammies that we have. And this is why we need support groups.
That is great. Thank you. You have anything to add to this, Sterling, before I move on?
And one partner Green Mountain Self-Advocates has through the Life History Project is the Center on Disability and Community Inclusion.
And what is that?
It's a USID program. There's 67 in each state.
Nice. And the USED stands for the University Centers on Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. It's a mouthful, but you know, that's what they're called. I want to just take a moment, and we've had some questions come into the live chat, and it is from my great uncle John. What advice would you offer to K through 12 students to empower them to create their own school-based self-advocacy groups? You know, this is a really good question. I'll tell you what. I'm going to brag a little bit. We have done work in schools. I've actually presented at elementary schools on disability awareness. I have actually I've read to students K through 6 books with characters of people with disabilities, and to bring disability awareness to schools in that way. And I love it. I continue to do it. I would like to do it more. I will also say too that it's not just K through 12, but we've done disability awareness presentations in high schools to students with and without disabilities, bringing the disability awareness stuff to them. And I would also say too that in Vermont we have done also events called youth summits. And what these are is these are summits, events where students with disabilities get together, and it's like within a region in Vermont from schools throughout a particular part of Vermont come together. And what we do is we teach them self-advocacy skills, how to stand up for themselves, giving them tips on how to be a self-advocate, standing up for themselves and even others, and also giving tips to teachers on how to become better allies. And it's not just me that does some of this work. I know groups within our organization have also done work in schools. I know that there's a group that has individuals that also use different forms of communication, known as supported typing or facilitated communication. They have done presentations in schools about what it's like to live with a disability where you have to use a different form of communication. Let's see here.
Oh, sorry.
Let's see. I could just take a moment. Oh, yes. Adults with disabilities would be doing the teaching in a lot of these organizations, in these events that we do. So we've done presentations throughout Vermont, and still going with that to children and also adults and even college students too. We've done presentations too. And also we have two groups, actually more than two, I think. We have a few groups that have high school students with disabilities that are involved in self-advocacy. So we are going to take a commercial break. It's not really a commercial break. So we're going to take like a little break and basically
just explain what SARTAC is.
Just again, remind people we're just going to get out to the word from our sponsors. Again, this is being broadcasted live on Facebook, and I want to put out a word from our sponsors. We are part of SARTAC. That is Self-Advocacy Resource and Technical Assistance Center. That's what SARTAC stands for. I love the abbreviations, the pronunciation of the abbreviations, because I kind of think of like, okay, we could take this a step further and say, oh, this SARTAC Enterprise, just like the Star Trek Enterprise. I don't know, I'm just something that I just wanted to throw out there. But again, SARTAC, Self-Advocacy Resource and Technical Assistance Center. We have all kinds of things on our, the website. Tools you need to know on how to strengthen your group or your organization. We also have a website, and it is selfadvocacyinfo.org. Check it out. We have all kinds of things about videos, trainings, all about self-advocacy groups and how to strengthen organizations and also your group. So I want to reintroduce myself again. I'm Max Barrows. I am Outreach Director of Green Mountain Self-Advocates here in Vermont. And you want to quickly introduce yourself again?
I'm Stirling Peebles. I'm the life history producer.
And I'm David Frye, here in Vermont.
And I think we have some more questions in or comments in the live chat. Let me see. Margaret Burr from Los Angeles. Thank you for speaking out on the rights of LGBTQ individuals. And David, I see you within the disability community. So many parents are terrified of acknowledging their special children's sexuality, and I know of no one within our very progressive autism community who has mentioned a family member being LGBTQ. I find that so tragic. Your openness is so meaningful. You have anything to say about that, David?
Makes me cry. I feel your pain, and you know, if the world was just more welcoming for people with disabilities that are GLBTQ, and someday we're going to get there. I mean, I'm doing it in Vermont, and you can do it in your state. Get out there, start a group. That's where you begin. And that's where your voice needs to be heard, that you are out there making a voice for people with disabilities and being GLBTQ, and that's where you need to start. Go to your local GLBTQ center. Tell them, I want to start a group for people with disabilities. If there isn't, start it. Get on the board. Talk to me. You know, we're going to have a whole discussion about this GLBTQ thing on SARTAC page here, and it's not forgotten. This is just the beginning of it.
Well, unless there's no one else that has any questions, again, if we didn't get to everyone's questions, we are sorry, but we will make sure we do so, and all be written. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We will be doing this weekly, so be on the lookout for our next Facebook Live. And again, check out our SARTAC Self-Advocacy Resource and Technical Assistance Center page, and also Self-Advocacy Info page. All these good stuff is on there. Everything you need to know, anything and everything. So I am Max Barrows, and I'm Outreach Director. This is David Frye, who's a great colleague, and Stirling Peebles. And thank you so much for being on our Facebook live chat. And please tune in the next time we have this next week, and be on the lookout for another announcement. So without further ado, all of you have a great summer, have a great day, and I will see you next time on our next live chat. Thank you so much.
There's one message from, did you sign off?
Nope, I did not sign off yet. Let me just do this one thing real quick before I sign off. We just had a last second thing on the live chat. Deborah Turner. Deborah said she was told she could not type because she had only one functioning hand from then and now. What are the differences?
Maybe Lozano only has one functioning hand.
Listen, we have our president of GMSA, and he only has one hand that functions. But look at him; he's doing a job where he types a lot, and there's all kinds of resources out there for you to type and communicate. It doesn't matter like how your body, functions. There are many, many, many tools to accommodate you. But speak up, because that's how you're going to get those tools, if that answers your question.
There's one other question. Just say we'll try to get back to them.
And there's one other question, but we will try our best to get back to them.
Right,
and we will write up the answer for you and get it out there. So your questions are not forgotten, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, take care, and we will see you on the next live chat. Be on the lookout for it. Bye-bye.